Hi, my name's Ross Hetherington. I'm with the Tesla Owners Club of Australia. I'm here today with Colin and Anne up in sunny Queensland. So we're here to do a safety video on Tesla. And Colin and Anne have been kind enough to outline their experience in a horrific crash they had in their Tesla earlier this year. Colin and Anne, thank you very much for allowing me into your lovely home today.
It's a pleasure.
And we look forward towards the interview. We'll open up, Colin and Anne. If you just give us, first of all, a bit of a general outline of actually what happened on that terrible day.
Yeah, sure. And just as our injuries were different from it, our kind of recollections and perspectives on it are slightly different as well. So, but essentially what happened is we were just out for our normal Sunday morning drive. It was a lovely day, good weather conditions.
February the
Yep.
15th.
Yeah, mid-February.
4 months ago.
And we were on a road that was just a two-way road. There was a double white line around the middle of it. And as we drove along, we got to a bend, and the car coming from the other direction had been on a straight part and was turning around to the left. However, he didn't take the bend at all.
Right.
For whatever reason, asleep at the wheel or whatever. But he just basically just out of nowhere came straight across onto our side of the road.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't like, where someone is 100 metres ahead, you can see them. Oh, look, he's on the wrong side, we better avoid him. There was just no opportunity for that at all. It just literally straight across, head-on collision, both cars doing it around 70 kilometres an hour.
Yep.
And very violent impact. Anne remembers more of the lead up to the accident than me. Do you want to talk about that?
I just remember as we were driving, the wheels, the front wheel of the car, just coming over that double white line. But it was just a flash, and I thought surely they'd correct. And then it just happened so quickly. Next thing I saw this huge silver bull bar. I have flashbacks. Just on our windscreen, shattering the windscreen. And that's what I remember. And I was conscious the whole time. I didn't lose consciousness. Colin did. He was in and out of consciousness.
Yeah, so my recollection starts from the violence of the impact. I remember the impact vividly. The immediate aftermath, after the cars impacted, they sort of spun around and bounced off each other, so they ended up on opposite sides of the road. We were stopped there. I vividly remember just being surrounded by twisted metal, broken glass, airbags hanging down, and my first thought was Anne, and I just asked Anne how she was. And she said, I can't breathe. And my immediate thought was, well, if you can say that, you can breathe.
You can breathe, yeah.
But fortunately, I didn't say that bit out loud, or my injuries might have been far worse than just the accident injuries. But then I looked down and I saw my wrist was at a really weird angle. And I had a severed artery and there was blood gushing out, which wasn't good. And I reached across to the manual door release on the Tesla and didn't do anything because the door was all twisted and obviously jammed. At that point, I could feel myself fading out, and I thought, oh, this is it for me. And fortunately, in the car behind us, there was a couple of nurses. What are the chances? And I remember hearing them outside our car, and they either did it themselves or they got someone to break the window, and she reached through and did something to help stop the severed arch. She probably saved my life. And then, so that was the immediate aftermath. And
What time of day or night?
It was 8:45 in the morning.
Oh, okay. So it was an early morning,
8:45,
right?
very early.
Yep.
But they were all worrying about Colin because he was bleeding. And I was there not able to breathe or talk.
Yeah.
So they saw to me next.
Was it local, the accident, or was it?
It was about half an hour from here, so down the mountain.
Yeah.
We're on Tambourine Mountain, so I was down the bottom near sort of Nerang Advanced Town area.
All right. So a few seconds before the impact, and I know, Colin, you said there was slightly different recollections, and Anne, you remembered a bit more.
Yeah.
Because I understand FSD was activated at that time.
Yes.
Was it? What version was it? Sorry.
It was FSD 13.9. We'd just taken delivery of the car in October. The accident was in February, so it was only like a 3 or 4 month old car. I loved FSD, and I'll tell you, I turned it on virtually every time. Every now and again, I drive it myself just to remember what it felt like to drive the car.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic, and so FSD was on. So I remember that's how it was, and I remember that because we were almost like literally less than a minute from our destination. And I remember thinking, okay, I'll take it out of FSD soon, but I hadn't at that point, and
So just seconds before the impact, how did FSD react? Did it react like? Did you feel like the car did anything to? I know it was very sudden.
It's a good question, and
We think it braked.
More than think, the police forensic accident investigator downloaded all of the data from the car, way more data than I even knew it kept, and certainly a lot more than we as drivers have access to. So she showed us the printout, and it's got just columns of data, and it's got like accelerator pressure, brake pressure, speed, regen, everything. It's just columns of data every half-second interval, and she showed us that we were travelling at the speed limit.
Yep.
Thank goodness for that.
Thank you, FSD.
Yeah, thank you, FSD. Yep. And B, it showed that the car braked about half a second before the impact.
Yeah.
Now, for my mind, half a second is all the time that even the most instant reaction could have braked, because it was just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I personally don't think I could have reacted that quickly. I have no recollection of jamming on the brake myself, so I suspect that was all the car.
Yeah. Okay. And that was it's 140 kilometre per hour impact. Yeah. Because
effectively,
it was 70 each way. So that's a hard impact. That's very high speed.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, you're telling me.
Yeah.
FSD's, we think, has braked. The data's shown that the brakes were applied. What happened and I remember you saying the bull bar, the silver bull bar is in your memory.
I thought it was going to come onto us.
Yeah.
It stopped.
Yeah. So the cabin, what happened in the cabin when the impact?
I remember seeing an airbag here, but it didn't actually touch me. It was protective just there. And that's the only airbag I remember, but I think there must have been.
Yeah, I know there was plenty more. I think there was a couple of very interesting things about the collision itself, some of which we got from the police forensic people who pointed out that whilst the Nissan X-Trail that hit us was a bigger car than ours, and it had the bull bar and everything, the Tesla was a heavier car by about 300 kilos. Which is not insignificant. And so what happens in a head-on collision is the heavier car is going to transfer some of that impact force, that forward momentum, into the other car.
Yeah.
So the weight of the Tesla really helped us in that situation. Sorry for the other driver, but that helped us. So the cabin, getting back to your question, as I said, violent impact. The immediate aftermath was this tangled, twisted metal glass, airbags, all of the airbags went off the front sides. But our seats were fine. It was almost like this little area where we were sitting was protected.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was amazing that it was literally only from here to here that both of us were injured. Our legs, I couldn't believe our legs. I could still walk,
Yeah.
and nothing about
No
this.
leg injuries,
Hopefully
no
we've
head
still
injuries.
got brains working.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
weren't impacted. No whiplash. So I thought that was quite miraculous.
Without the airbags, there's no doubt at all we would have had, at least neck, whiplash injuries,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least that.
Yeah.
But there's just not the slightest bit of, I had absolutely no neck pain, head in anything. So I think the design of those and the way they deployed and then deflated was right on the
Spot on.
money. Yeah.
The windscreen was shattered,
Yeah.
and there was lots of glass along the console,
Yeah.
and we couldn't open the doors.
Even the centre console between the seats was twisted and damaged,
Yeah.
but our seats weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember recounted, interesting what you said, Anne, about the floor and your legs being intact and that. I recounted when I was 18 years old, I was involved in I was a passenger in a Holden Commodore, Calais, and we hit a tree at 100, just over 100 kilometres per hour. And unfortunately the tree hit on my side of the car. And one thing, I was unconscious and got taken to hospital. I was in hospital for a couple of days. Luckily, no major injuries. But I do remember that, and back in those days, of course, there was no airbags. But I do remember I went back to the wreckers a couple of weeks later to visit the car. And when I sat in it, my knees were pressed up against my chest because the floor had been pushed up so far.
With the engine and...
And the engine had pushed the dash into my face. My head didn't actually hit the dash. The dash hit my face. And I sat in it, was so uncomfortable, I had to get out. And I thought, there I was in an accident. But again, modern technology. That was 40 odd years ago,
thank
whatever,
goodness.
however that is. 1985, I think it was 1984.
Yep.
So the technology now in 2025, 26 is just obviously far superior. Airbags, everything else. And can you tell me about the A-frame in the Tesla? What was it intact, like that cabin, the actual framework?
Yes, it was. The basic structure of the car was intact. What became clear was just how well designed all of the parts around it are. The way the front of the car crumpled.
Yep.
It was. You see the photos of it. There's just nothing left. It's just a complete crumpled mess. The doors themselves were buckled, but the frame around us was completely intact, and that's what protected our seating area.
Wow. I think too, as you were saying, the weight of the Tesla obviously has got a huge impact on which car, I suppose, comes off better. But I think too, Tesla's designed so aerodynamically, and there's no engine in there that, the front probably pushed it under, and you don't have that floor pan issue of the floor being pushed up because the car is sort of the other car is being pushed up over. But it's certainly the design of the Tesla, I think, is in many ways, and particularly with no engine.
No engine,
So
there's just this is the thing that I think Tesla have such a great strength with compared to even other EV manufacturers, is that the Tesla was designed from the ground up as an EV.
Yes.
It wasn't, let's take one of our successful ICE cars and turn it into an EV. It was designed from the ground up, which meant that entire front area, which has, nothing other than a frunk, and if you've got the dual axle, a motor down the front, but ours was a rear wheel drive Tesla, so there wasn't even motors down the front. That entire area is designed around safety.
Yes.
Everything about it is about safety, and you could see that in the way the car performed, and that I think is one of the big advantages Tesla have. And not only that, I mean, we've been Tesla owners ever since Tesla first hit Australia. So we had a Model S back in 2015, and then eventually sold it after the longest I've ever kept a car for in my life, because we loved it so much. But they've had 10 plus years to evolve. How do we do safety in an EV and take advantage of these EV specific things like the batteries in the lower compartment and all of that kind of thing. And that really shines through in a Tesla. And other cars they can't have that developed to the same level. They haven't had as long to do it, and they're basically coming off legacy cars and converting those to the cars that they have now. So yeah, I think that had a huge factor.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, you'll hear some people, particularly other EV brand owners, and look, other EVs are great as well, don't get me wrong, but you'll actually hear them say, oh, Tesla fanboy, you know, they're just saying that because it's a Tesla and they can't get away from the brand. But I think the proof is in the pudding here.
Yeah.
You know, you've been survivors of a terrible accident, and you've come out looking great. I mean, in many ways, it could have been in another car. Would that have happened?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think it would have. I think you're very lucky to have been in a Tesla, and to have the Tesla technology there to protect you on such a.
I'm convinced that any other car, that would have been the end of us. There were people.
I had a small car before this,
Yeah.
and it had almost no front. I would never have survived.
Yeah.
Never.
There were people who saw the car, people we knew who came to because we were nearly at our destination. They came and they saw the car and the aftermath, and they went back and said, oh, no one would have survived that.
Yeah.
That was unsurvivable. And yet, yeah.
That's incredible.
And the other driver was far worse injured than we were.
That takes me on nicely to, I suppose, the next question is what actually happened to the other driver?
Well, he was a 21-year-old. Probably for privacy stuff, I shouldn't go into too much detail about him specifically, but 21-year-old. He fared worse than us. He actually died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, but they revived him.
Yeah.
We all ended up in the same trauma ward. There's only one trauma ward. And so I did see him in there, and he had back braces and walking frames, and his
He
big...
was in hospital for longer.
Yeah, he was in hospital for longer. His big advantage is that he's, you know, a lot younger than us,
youth,
so they bounce back a bit more, but yeah, suffered worse than us, yeah.
Right. So back in the car, and I understand you're a bit more conscious and aware over the time that you were...
Well, I didn't lose consciousness.
Yeah. So where Colin, you did for a time. So how long was it before the fire brigade, or how long the fire brigade arrived and you were extracted from the...
I reckon it was about 45 minutes that we were ensconced in that area.
Yeah.
And we could just hear people talking and ambulances, 3 ambulances coming.
It must have seemed like an eternity. Or did it go quick?
They were
Did you...
concentrating on Colin.
Not for me, I was unconscious. I remember like that first minute that I described before after the accident, then I was unconscious. So I have no recollection of them getting me out of the car, being in an ambulance, anything. But we were told it was about 45 minutes for them to go through all of that.
Did you see the other car after the accident?
No.
So you don't know what kind of state it was in?
Oh yeah, we've got photos of it.
Our Tesla actually pushed the car.
Well, the cars hit, and it wasn't like direct front on. It was slightly offset.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that slight offset, it's sort of went off, and we ended up with both cars on the 2 sides of the road. There was a photo in the newspaper that had, which we've got a copy of, that showed the other car.
Right.
We were famous for a whole day, and we had no idea who we were.
Then the news cycle moved on to something else.
Yeah. Recovery. Actually, let's talk about injuries. So, you're in hospital. What were your sort of final injuries? You mentioned your wrists.
I'll speak to mine, and Anne can speak to hers. I had 2 broken pelvises. I had compound fracture of my left wrist, fractured of my right wrist, severed artery. I had internal injuries to my bowel. My oblique muscles were ripped off the pelvis. And that was pretty much it for me. I was a month in hospital. So interestingly, my injuries were completely different to Anne's. They were more immediately life-threatening, but probably quicker to recover from than Anne's. Right. What about you?
Well, we were in a very good trauma ward, fortunately,
Mm.
and my injuries were all caused by the seatbelt.
Right.
So were mine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had a mashed sternum, collapsed lung, right lung, and fractured ribs on the right hand side, and my back L3 broke. And I didn't realize because my legs were operating. When they asked me if I could, can you walk? Do you think? I said, well, I think I can. My legs are.
Yeah.
So I actually walked. They did help me, but I walked to the ambulance, which I probably shouldn't have done with a broken back.
No,
But you
no,
don't
that's
always know,
amazing.
and you're not
Yeah.
in pain with
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that shock.
She had
Wow.
a paralysed diaphragm as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have still got a paralysed diaphragm, but
Half
I
of
had
it.
to wear a back brace, which was a terrible thing, for 3 months,
Mm.
and I've come out of that.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, so
All
we've
right.
recovered.
Yeah.
We are recovering, and we are
1 month in hospital for you, Colin. How
Yeah.
long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, was it?
But my daughter looked after me
Lovely.
for 2
Yeah.
weeks.
I'm glad you're both okay. Truly, it's. I'm
We are
just
too.
listening to your story. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. You mentioned, Colin, before the interview, that you believe that you and your wife would not have survived the crash had you have not been in a Tesla.
Yeah.
What made you say that?
I think a few factors. So I spoke to some of them before, just about obviously Tesla's safety rating is hard earned, and the way the car was designed with the crumple zones, the A-frame, everything about all of that, the low center of gravity with the batteries on the bottom, the extra weight that creates transferring some of the momentum. When you think about how bad our injuries were and the internal injuries, and the extra weight of the Tesla, normally, because the Tesla is a smaller car than the one that hit us, normally that would have been the other way around, and there would have been additional momentum transferred into our car. And those injuries, which were bad enough and nearly killed me, I have no doubt at all it would have been enough to put us over the line. So I just think it's a combination of the whole, and I know this part isn't unique to Teslas, having batteries and the heavier weight,
Yeah.
but it's still got to be designed right. And the way that was all managed with the crumple zones on the front of the car and the way our internal compartment was preserved, the airbag design, the way they worked, and having no head injuries, that's why.
Plus, we haven't mentioned, I presume it was the Tesla, actually spoke to us when this all happened. I suddenly heard, he was out of it.
Yeah.
I heard, we detect there's been an event. If we don't hear anything, we will contact your emergency contact.
Was that an audio? Was
a
it
recording, yeah.
a recording?
I mean, audio, yes.
Oh, wow.
And so
Okay.
I couldn't speak properly, and he was out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So they contacted our daughter.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, a family knew about it long before emergency services even arrived, and they were getting on the phone and in a state of panic because they tried to ring us.
So your old car was obviously a write-off.
Yeah.
What did you replace it with and why?
Well, that was an easy decision, another Tesla.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of factors that come into that. Firstly, the way the insurance worked, because our car was near new anyway, it was only 4 months old when the accident occurred. RACQ had a new for old, so basically we got a 26 model instead of a 25.
Yeah.
We didn't get any choice in that. They replace it with the same car. You can only change the colour. But there was an option.
Get a different colour.
We did
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
different colour, yeah. There was an option to just be paid out our original purchase price for the car and go and buy whatever we want. But I wouldn't get anything other than a Tesla.
Yeah.
That's an easy call.
That's obviously because of the accident, the safety and everything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've loved Teslas all the way along, but the accident just reinforced.
Confirmed, yeah.
For people, and we were no different, and I have to admit it, the thing that attracted me to a Tesla initially was the tech. You know, I just love the whole concept of EV and the environmental side. I love the whole concept of the self-drive, right back from the early days of Tesla. It was all mooted around the self-driving coming. Took a bit longer than planned, but it got there. And so I love the tech. And the safety rating, you know, I heard about that at the beginning, and it was, oh yeah, that's nice, you know, great, good safety. That's a nice to have.
Yeah, but what's the tech?
Yeah, I know, exactly, yeah. But it's moved from, you know, that safety aspect has moved from nice to have to being, all right, let's start with that.
Yes.
And why? I mean, everyone thinks, well, I'm a good driver, I'm careful, it's not going to happen to me. Well, that's us. No, we had no say in that accident at all.
It's the other drivers you've got to
No
worry
say
about.
at all. You know, there wasn't a thing we could do about it, and the police reinforced that to us.
So we are confirmed Tesla owners.
Yeah.
So is there anything, do you think that Tesla or other car manufacturers could do to make the car safer and reduce injuries?
Yeah.
Mine is the seatbelts. Something needs to happen because all our injuries were caused by that impact, and I don't know what changes they can make, but I just wish, I mean, in my sort of practical way, I just think even if I'd had sheepskin covers, it might have softened
something,
it a bit, I don't know.
I mean, I think you look at seatbelt technology, and the last major innovation in seatbelt technology was inertia reel seatbelts.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that? 40, 50 years?
Yes.
You know, I mean, I remember in my lifetime when they came in, but I was pretty young.
Yeah.
And so, you know, really nothing's, it's just like little tweaks around the edges to make them work a little bit smoother or whatever. But basically it's the same design. And all of our injuries, both Anne's and mine, were caused by seatbelts, not my wrists, but everything else. And so I just think they need to, a company like Tesla has done such great things with safety innovation. For a company like Tesla to turn their minds now to say, all right, let's look at seatbelts. What can we do? How can we utilize sensors and computer technology, AI, whatever, to adapt the grip of the seatbelts, perhaps, you know, to like airbags inflate and then deflate, so it's not like hitting another brick wall. There's something in that. There's got to be, and I think Tesla and the motor industry in general needs to be looking at that next.
And look, that's such a valid point.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, I remember when the old lap seatbelt, they didn't even have the shoulder bit, it was just the lap, and then it went to the shoulder and it was a fixed. And then when inertia came out, 40 years ago, whenever it was, oh my, this is such new technology.
I know.
It's just, and yet we've developed, and cars have developed all these safety features, but we're still using that old inertia, using mechanically based inertia seatbelt over your shoulder and around your waist to.
There is another one too that I think, and this is fairly in Tesla's camp to do something about, is with the dash cam recordings.
Yeah.
So obviously Tesla's got like 6 cameras or whatever it is, all recording at the same time, and all that data is getting written to the thumb drive in the glove box. And I know people put in faster drives and all that kind of thing, but that's fundamentally the same thing. One of the things that the police forensic crash people pointed out is the recording stopped 3 minutes before the accident.
I believe that.
And she said, oh, this is normal for Teslas. And the reason is, I'm sure, that because there's so much video data that gets recorded, it's buffered because it can't write it to the drive as fast as it's being generated. Eventually it catches up as long as the car stays in one piece.
Yes.
But if you have this major electrical, like just the whole thing disconnected at once, then you lose all that data.
Right.
So in our case, there were plenty of witnesses, it was all fine.
Yeah, we were lucky.
But imagine if there wasn't.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
and so to me, something Tesla could do is look at, okay, what's the primary camera? Well, it's the one looking out the front. Perhaps they could prioritize the writing of that data so that there's no buffering. It's just
Yeah.
straight to disk. Even a separate disk, I don't know, but that's one for Tesla to think about as well.
You're right. I think the automotive industry needs to really take a hard look. They're doing all this wonderful crumple zone, and as you know, Tesla's got the small ejector devices if the pedestrians hit, or soften the blow by ejecting the front cover, etc. We do all this wonderful stuff. Seatbelts. Why aren't we doing anything more?
There's no company better than Tesla to innovate in that area, in my opinion.
No, 100%. Any other comments before we finish up with the interview?
No?
Nothing that springs to mind?
No, yeah, not really. We're just very grateful that we did survive it, because, as I say, any other car, smaller car, would have been no chance at all. So we definitely are sticking to Teslas.
Yeah.
We feel confident in them. The only thing I am finding the Model 3 is a little bit low for me to get in with my back injuries. So we may move to a Model Y.
The Y, yeah.
Any excuse to get a new Tesla.
Get two of
good
them.
by me. Yeah, that's right.
Well, 3 and a Y. Yeah. Look, thanks very much for taking the time out today. Talk about such a traumatic incident, and you've both been great. And I'm so glad that you've come out of it like you have. I mean, it could have been, as you said, a lot worse. I mean, I wish it never happened, but it has. And the Tesla has done its job. It's protected you. You've got a great new Tesla out there, but thanks for taking the time out today. It's much appreciated. And again, thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to TOCA for all that you do for furthering the Tesla ecosystem.
Yeah, no problem. It's always a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Hey, thank you for inviting me to your beautiful home. It's such a lovely part of Australia, Queensland, and for around the Mount Tambourine area. But again, thanks very much for the time and effort, and I'm glad you came out of a horrific accident so well. And again, on behalf of the Tesla Owners Club of Australia, we are all happy that as Tesla owners and club members, you're well and healthy. So thanks again.
It's a
thanks
pleasure.
again.
Thanks.
And thanks again. You have a good
Thanks
day.
for having us.
All right then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.